uh, to start here. So welcome everyone who is in attendance tonight. For those of you who I haven't met, my name is John Kunz. I'm the Director of Upper School Admission. And tonight is our first in a series of events that is focusing on our curriculum. And really, we're trying to open up our curriculum to you online virtually. And tonight, we are very happy and proud to present to you our math department in their virtual curriculum night, including our department chair, Mr. David Weiss, along with 4 of his students that kind of um, represent a range of students that we have here in our math program. Just a reminder that um, we will be recording this event, so if you are unable to see this live or if you want to refer back to it, it will be recorded and it will live on our website. In terms of the agenda this evening, you will hear from Mr. Weiss to talk a little bit about our math program, generally speaking. Then you'll hear from our students, and then we will open up our information session to questions and provide as many answers as we can for you, and then we'll wrap things up. So without further ado, Mr. Weiss, if you could take it away from here. Thank you.
Glad to. Thank you, Mr. Kunz, and welcome to everyone on behalf of the math department. We are glad that you're showing interest, and we hope to give you a bunch of information about various aspects of the math department tonight. And most importantly, you'll get to hear, as Mr. Kunz said, from 4 of our students to talk to you about various aspects of our program and answer questions that you may have. And so my name is Mr. Weiss. I am the chair of the math department. I've been teaching for 25 years, and this is my 9th year at St. Stephen's and St. Agnes. The math department is composed of 8 other teachers who range in number of years at St. Stephen's, St. Agnes from 1 year up to over 20 years. Our general, here is a flow chart of our general offerings. It is quite busy. We're going to break it down in the next couple slides to year by year by year. But while we're on this slide, I just want to go through basically our core curriculum is Algebra 1, followed by Geometry, followed by Algebra 2. And then after that, various options begin opening up from pre-cal through the AP calculuses, non-AP courses. We'll talk a whole bunch about those in the coming slides. All right. These are just some of the pathways, though. Before I leave the slide, I just want to emphasize that these are just some of the pathways. When many people think of math, they think of tracks. And to me, that's like train tracks where you can never change. You're always locked into one pathway. But it's better to think of these as like the lanes of a highway where you can make changes, and we can, when things work out well, we can try a higher course. If things are not going well, we can try a lower course, okay? And so there is flexibility. Our goal is to get every kid into the right class so that they can be challenged and yet have a good chance of being very successful in that. They can grow, but yet still feel good about where they are and how they're progressing through the curriculum, right? So let's go. Most of our 9th graders end up in one of these 3 courses, okay? Algebra 1, Geometry 9, or Geometry Honors. We do have some advanced students that end up starting off in 9th grade in Algebra 2 Trig Honors and some of the higher level courses, but those are not as common as these 3. These 3 are by far the most common, okay? And so some of our students that had Algebra 1 in middle school will take one of the 2 geometries with us in their freshman year. After that, you can see that we go there. Okay. The Algebra 1s would go into a geometry. The Geometry 9s go into Algebra 2 or Algebra 2 Trig. And then the honors go into the Algebra 2 Trig or the Algebra 2 Trig honors. And a good way to look at our curriculum is through that core curriculum, and even beyond the core curriculum, we offer 3 levels of each course, all right? And that is because in math, one size doesn't fit all. And we want to make sure, like I said earlier, that every kid is in a class where they can be challenged yet, to have that chance to be successful. Progressing through our curriculum, the next would be after the Algebra 2s come the pre-calculuses. And you can see in 11th grade, we begin to get the option of doubling up, which I will talk more about in future slides also. You can see that some students might take advanced pre-calculus and AP statistics, okay? And so once you get through that Algebra 2 course, more and more options become available to you. And finally, by the time we get to senior year, we have seniors in a wide variety of courses. All right. We have courses that are for those that math is their thing and they're really into it and they want that extra challenge. And we have courses for those who are like, I don't like, they struggle a little bit with math. And so we have courses for every level. I will get into more of these, the electives in the next slide, but this is basically our offerings that we give, okay? And so let's talk a little bit more about the electives. One of our most rigorous electives is AP Economics, and that does set our school apart a little bit because I think a majority of schools across the area and across the United States teach their economics in their history department, but we teach it in our math department here at St. Stephen's St. Agnes, and our AP Econ teacher is fabulous. She gets those students really know their economics. It has inspired many students to go on and pursue economics majors in college. Our most popular elective is AP Statistics. It gives the students a great foundation in inferential techniques. It looks at data. It looks at how do you design surveys. The growth 9 years ago, this course has exploded, AP Stats. 9 years ago, we had 8 students in it. Last year, we had 43 students taking AP Statistics. And it is one where probably about 90% of the students in AP Statistics are doubling up. They're taking that course in addition to something else. But these are not just AP courses that we offer. We also offer the Logic Stats, which is a non-AP statistics for half the year, and a logic class for the other half of the year. This is a great course for students who are interested in going into data analytics. And so we get a great feedback from the students that take that course. Each of those 3 that I just mentioned are year-long courses. And then the next 2 are 1 semester courses. We have a number theory. And basically to describe that, it's about cryptography, breaking of codes, making of codes. That's a 1 semester course geared towards our middle to high end students. And then we offer, in addition to the AP Economics, we offer Math of Finance, which explores personal finance concerns through a mathematical lens. And that's, again, a junior senior elective. And then for those students, this was not on the flow chart, but those students that are in Algebra 2 as freshmen, they would probably be in BC Calculus as a junior. And so we would have an independent study option for those students that complete AP Calc BC prior to their senior year. That would typically involve multivariable or differential equations. And I'd be happy to talk to anyone about that. That's probably more of an individual basis. I'm not going to read to you this philosophy course, but this philosophy slide, but what I will say is that one of our core beliefs in the math department is that we place the students into the courses that they need. We don't base it on, it would be really easy if this teacher could teach 3 sections of this class. Let's find 3 sections of kids and put them in there, okay? We place the kids first, then we determine who's going to teach those courses. Okay, so it's all about having the student centered first. There are multiple pathways through our curriculum, whether whether your son or daughter is a super strong student in math, or they struggle with the course, or they don't like the course as much. Okay, we have things that will hopefully spark their interest, keep them involved in the class, in the math subject, and keep them advancing. Right. So student involvement. Outside of the classroom, we offer math teams. That's a competition of logic type problems. And our students do quite well in their respective divisions. We have a junior team and a varsity team. 64 students participated in those last year. The program has not kicked off yet this year, but it will in the coming, shortly. It will in the coming weeks, it will kick off. And we expect to have good participation in the coming year. Another important aspect of St. Stephen's St. Agnes that is relatively new is our STEM certificate. That's a recognition for students that are interested and pursue extra coursework in the STEM fields. And I want to emphasize that that's not just for students who are in our highest level courses. You can be in any level of math courses and still be a candidate for the STEM certificate program. One of our student panelists will speak about her pursuit of that. in a very short amount of time. But a key component is the experiential work component that these students commit to, where they're doing research or some hands-on type experience in the STEM field. And then I did mention students doubling up. This year, we have 45 students are taking 2 full-year math classes simultaneously. If we throw in the 1 semester electives, then that number bumps up to 67 students taking more than 1 math class in a given semester. And then we even have 6 students that are taking basically 2.5 courses in math. They're taking 2 full-year courses this year, plus a 1 semester elective. And I think that speaks loudly to how our students get into the subject and how they're willing to dive into it even deeper than just taking the 1 class per year. And so we're quite proud of the number of students that double up. And those are pretty good numbers, considering an average graduating class is anywhere from 110 to 120 is very typical for our graduating class. And so what I'm going to show now are this is our segue into the student section. We, in addition to doing tests and quizzes, every class likes to incorporate projects, hands-on activities, things that allow the students to pursue math in a way that they can express their creativity. They can do their collaboration. They can take on leadership roles within groups. And so this is an example of one of the geometry freshman year websites that you will hear a little bit about from a student very shortly. A big part of our junior year in the pre-cal classes is our graphing project. This school seal on the right-hand side, that is created exclusively from mathematical equations, all right? And so every one of those lines and curves that you see was created by a mathematical equation that was then graphed on the coordinate plane to create that image. And this quite often is a very collaborative project, and it really pulls together the things the students have learned, not just in their junior year and not just in their pre-cal class, but in classes before that. Here's an example of a hands-on. Again, you'll hear this from our students. This is a chance where they apply concepts. They get to see math in action. Okay, and our bungee jump project is an extremely famous project that the students all get into. We have a Monty Hall simulation. We have goldfish, M&Ms. We're constantly using M&Ms in the classroom, in the math classroom. And then if we were not in COVID, if we were not in our situation where we could not have to be in our own homes looking at this on computers, you would have a chance to talk and interact with the students. And so what we have is the next best thing. I'm going to now introduce 4 students one at a time, and they will talk to you about various aspects of the math, and you will have a chance to ask them questions, and myself questions, at the end of this. And so first up is junior Lindsey Leon. And Lindsey, would you like to take over at this point?
I'd love to. So, as you heard, I'm Lindsey. I'm a junior this year. A little bit of background about my math journey in the upper school is that in 9th grade, I took honors geometry, but by the end of that year, I had decided that it was just a little bit too far out of my comfort zone and that I would excel in a lower math class. So for the past 2 years, I've been on the advanced track with advanced algebra 2 trig in sophomore year and advanced pre-calc this year. So what I'm really going to talk to you about though are 2 things that I'm applying for / working towards. So last year the school introduced the STEM, taking STEM electives, receiving at least a 3 on 4 STEM APs, completing a summer study, internship, or research program, and maintain a certain grade average in your STEM courses throughout high school, and a few other requirements. For me, I immediately knew that this was something I wanted to work towards. I had already made plans to complete a lot of the requirements for the STEM certificate, like taking certain STEM electives. I do plan on getting at least a 3 on 4 STEM APs that I'm planning to take, but we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure that I'll get that, but fingers crossed. But overall, it's just a really great way to recognize students who know they want to pursue a future in STEM and give students who want to another thing to work towards. So this brings me to the Virginia Earth System Sciences program that I'm applying to. A few weeks ago, Mr. Weiss emailed me about this opportunity for a summer program at NASA with 3 programs: the Virginia Earth System Sciences program, Virginia Space Scholars program, and Virginia Aerospace Science and Technology program. But I was particularly interested in the Earth Sciences program. The description for this program says that it's highlighted by a 7-day residential summer academy at NASA Langley Research Center, focusing on Earth's responses to climate change, weather, and natural hazards. I'm really, really passionate about climate change, so I knew that this would be an amazing chance for me to not only learn so much about the topic and get hands-on experience, but also help me to complete some of the requirements for the STEM certificate. This email was particularly sent to people who had displayed interest in the certificate, but all of that information, along with a bunch of other STEM opportunities, is available on the school website for any student or parent to reach. But overall, there are so many opportunities for summer internships and programs and other ways that students can become more involved in STEM work that St. Stephen's offers, along with the STEM certificate, which I'm really excited, but also a little bit nervous about. But definitely something to push myself towards, and I'm happy that it's there. And that is pretty much it. So I'll hand it off to our next panelist.
I'll take. Thank you, Lindsay. That was very good, and we have complete faith in you getting those scores that you need to get. I have no doubt you'll be successful. Next up is Abby Lowe. She is a sophomore, and Abby will talk to you about various aspects, including the geometry website project. And so, Abby, it's your floor.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Abby. I'm currently a sophomore in Algebra 2 Trig Honors, and last year I took Geometry Honors. And so my experience with math at St. Stephen's has been really positive because of the teacher relationships that I've been able to develop and the projects that allowed us to present our learning in creative ways. So I came to St. Stephen's in 8th grade 3 years ago. My old school was a big public school, so SSSAS was definitely a change, but the transition actually was really easy. Math classes are kept small. This year there are 13 kids in my class, and so it was a nice change to have more time with my teacher for any questions or extra help. Last year I met with my teacher, Miss Daly, very often before tests just to ask any little questions that I had, which definitely helped my confidence before tests and my study skills. A smaller class with close teacher interaction also made for an easy transition to remote learning. The lessons were easy to follow because Miss Daly taught us in a similar way to how she did while we were still in class, and we still had normal tests, quizzes, and homework, and there was still a designated period in which we were able to meet with our teachers as needed. One of my favorite things that we did last year in geometry was our website project. In a group or alone, we picked a topic and made an informative website on it. My partner and I chose origami, as shown in the slides, but some of the other topics included Morse code, cryptography, and women in math. I really loved the project because 1, it was a nice break from geometry proofs, but also every aspect was engaging. I learned a lot about origami, for example, some important terms, its history, and obviously its connection to math. But I also loved finding all of the pictures, making the pages look fun and colorful, and even planning an activity for the class during our presentation. Throughout the project, I learned about website design and development, which will come in handy as I launch my next billion-dollar origami-themed internet startup. In the past, math hasn't always been my favorite subject, but these past few years, I've been really surprised at how much I've enjoyed it at St. Stephen's.
Thank you, Abby. Thank you very much. And one thing, when Abby mentioned she had to plan an activity, a part of these projects is that these are not just, do something and then let's set it to the side. Abby had to present to her fellow classmates. And so they work on articulating, they work on being creative. And so a lot of good aspects in that. Next, we have Dave Catal. He is a junior and he will speak about some of the other projects and hands-on activities. And so Dave, it's all yours.
So on my slide, there's like the Islamic art project, which is the website project that Abby did, and also the bungee jump project. But what I'm going to be focusing on more is my transition to the upper school, because I joined the upper school at during 9th grade. So just to introduce myself again, hi, my name is Dave, and I'm a junior at St. Stephen St. Agnes School. But unlike my peers, I did not go to SSSAS like for life. My journey started in freshman year, and I came from a very STEM-focused middle school in which we were doing like Algebra 2 trig honors in 8th grade. And so those may sound like a big deal. It actually turned out to harm me because my parents decided to transfer me to SSSAS, and I was told to take some placement exams like every new student does. One of these tests was for Algebra 2 trig honors and Geometry honors, just to see where I would place. And my mindset coming into the exam was, oh, this will be a piece of cake. I got this. But after seeing my results, I realized that there were many holes in my education. So I ended up going into Geometry honors freshman year. And at the time, I was trying to convince Miss Daly to let me go into Algebra 2 trig honors. But now that I look back, going into Geometry honors was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made. As a junior, we have to take these standardized exams, and I can't emphasize how much geometry is helping me right now. And there's something special, that's something special about the school. The teachers know what is truly best for us. Then I was thinking, oh, I'm never going to get a teacher like this again, because this is something truly special. And then I got Mr. Weiss for AP Statistics. I cannot even begin to tell you how much I enjoy that class. He truly cares about teaching the students rather than just covering the material for the course, because I distinctly remember us having technological problems 2 weeks ago. And instead of rushing the material, Mr. Weiss postponed the exam because he wanted us to learn the concepts of normal distribution. So coming from different schools all my life, I can easily say that this care is something truly special to SSSAS. And it's not only the teachers, I also made so many friends in the process. And whether it be through the bungee jump project or suffering through Ms. Daly's proofs, I made friends throughout it all. Because there was this moment in student teacher appointment time where I was with my friend Finn, and we were just laughing about how harsh Ms. Daly's proofs were. But now when we look back, it was all so funny and an experience I would never give up on. This community is truly amazing here, and everyone works together to create this environment, a learning environment, rather than a pressure cooker where everyone cares about grades and competition, which was my old school. So coming here was truly one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. That's it for me, Mr. Weiss. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dave. And he did remind me one aspect that is key to the math program at St. Stephen St. Agnes is the extra help that all the math teachers provide. We are constantly working with students trying to, if they ask for help, they are our #1 priority. And so we always are working with them during free periods and actual student teacher appointment times. Last, we have senior Jack Passot. And Jack will, one second, there we go. Jack will speak to us. He's one of those students who has doubled up quite often. And so Jack, the floor is yours now.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Jack. Like Mr. White said, I doubled up junior year and doubled up senior year too. And eventually will be tripled up second semester. So we'll see how that goes. I'll just touch on what Dave already kind of pointed out about junior year. And that was the first time I doubled up in math. And it is a bit of a change, but I found junior year, it's obviously your teachers help you handle it. And AP Stats is definitely one of my favorite, is my favorite math class. And that's not just because Mr. Weiss is on the panel. It was just a different math class. It's not like your typical core class. You use math in different ways. A little more writing, which was interesting to get used to, but it's definitely one of my favorite classes. And this year, I'm taking AP Calc BC and AP Econ. And that, I would say, the coursework definitely increases a little bit more because your core math class is an AP. So you're going to have a little bit more homework, and your tests will be a little longer too. But it's something that your teachers help you get through and isn't too difficult to learn how to deal with. And I definitely enjoy them. And AP Econ, I'm finding, is pretty similar to AP Stats, where it's sort of a different math class. I think this year it's a little bit more similar, but it's definitely a different perspective on math then. That personally, I really enjoy math, so I love being able to use it in different ways. And it's not just doing problems on a test, but really application-based stuff. As far as number theory goes, I can't attest to that too much because I haven't taken it yet. But I will just add to what Mr. Weiss pointed out about it earlier is like one of the reasons I was very excited to take it is because you go over also a different note taking that you use with math classes in college. So I'm very excited to get a step up on that early on in high school. And then on the right is my graphing project from last year. So I partnered up with my friend John Fontham, and we took a little different route than doing the school emblem. And maybe you'll recognize the character from a TV show. But in the middle, you can see those are our 12 different types of equations. Now, we had a lot more than 12 equations on the actual graph. I think it was upwards of 150 or something, which was actually towards the lower side. Some of my friends went pretty crazy with the number of equations they would do. But you'll see that we use different types of equations that really we've been learning since freshman year to make something pretty cool in the graph. So I'm very proud of that project. And I'll just end by adding, so personally, I've gone to St. Stephen's since, and in St. Agnes since JK. So I'm a big lifer, but I've found every year there, and especially in my high school career, that the math classes are just awesome. I've never had one that I didn't enjoy. And there are some that are definitely harder, and you do have to work hard, but there's never been an issue I've had with it, and they're by far the favorite classes that I've taken.
Thank you, Jack. And so at this point, we are done with our planned presentation. We will switch to question and answer time, and I believe Mr. Coombs is going to moderate this at this point. And so, Mr. Coombs.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Weiss. And I have to say, if we were live right now, I'd be standing up, giving our students a standing ovation. You guys were amazing. I felt like there could have been a mic drop there potentially at some point, but thank you so much for sharing some of your, some of your programs and some of the reasons why you love not just the math program, but St. Stephen's and St. Agnes School as well. It's just, you all are truly a testament to what our school is all about. We have received a couple of questions, and just to kick things off, and then if anyone has some questions that they'd like to have answered, you can certainly put your question into the chat, and we will definitely get to those. But we do have a couple of questions here to kick things off. So the first one, and some of you have already spoken about this a little bit, and I'm wondering if you can maybe kind of take it a little bit further in terms of that transition. I think that a lot of our families like to know what is that transition like when you're coming from another school in the St. Stephen's and St. Agnes School, and what is that transition like specific to math? Can a couple of you talk a little bit about that transition that you experienced?
For me personally, I experienced that transition, and coming into school, I was like, oh, I'm very nervous for how this math, because my placement exam didn't go well. I was like, okay, I'm probably gonna get to learn a lot here, and I did learn a lot here. And I feel like this process was very valuable, and this transition was absolutely amazing and very smooth, because I got to meet new friends who had the same passion for math that I did, because I was very interested in learning a lot of math through my teachers. I used to go to like stat every day, and I had friends who also used to go to stat every day. And so just asking questions and helping each other out brought together new friendships. And I also got to like form a sort of bond with my teachers, because even today when I'm asked for a letter of recommendations for internships, for programs, I ask my math teachers, because I used to like go to so many stat hours during my free periods. So you build this bond with the teachers, and they truly care about helping you, which I feel like I haven't got at any other school that I've been to. And so that's what my transition was like. I don't know if like, I bet someone else can add on to that, but that was my personal transition.
Thanks, Dave. Anyone else want to add their brief story of the transition?
I can add on. So I came in 8th grade, and just like Dave, I repeated math. So I took algebra in 7th grade, but then in 8th grade, I chose to take it again because most of the 8th graders take algebra in 8th grade. But I'm really glad that I did so, and it was a really smooth transition, because I actually ended up having a lot of holes in my knowledge on algebra, and so nothing really felt repetitive, and I was definitely very engaged in class. So it was really great. And also, like Dave said, last year was the first year when I really started going to my math teacher before tests just to like ask any questions. And it actually really helped me. And so that was really nice.
Thanks to you both. Now, a question I think that is a little bit more geared towards some of our older students, our juniors and seniors here. What do you feel has helped make you feel well prepared when it comes to math for college and beyond? Can you speak a little bit about that?
Sure. I think it is a little difficult now to know, what is being prepared for college, because obviously I'm not in college yet. But I will say, like, especially with the AP classes, you end up taking your AP test at the end of the year, which I think is a really good gauge of what a course would be like in high school. So for AP stats, that's what we were preparing for all year, and we were doing a lot of the work from that. So it's sort of like a college class in that way. And same with the class I'm taking this year with AP Econ and AP Calc, is they are college level classes. And you definitely feel like you're being prepared for it. And, when you look to the textbook, which is what the college students will be looking at too, you understand everything that's going on there, which is a pretty good, cool feeling to have while you're in high school. So I'd say you definitely feel prepared for what's coming up in college.
I'll add a little bit to that. Students come back and visit quite often, and the feedback that we get from students is usually quite positive. They say that they are helping their classmates in their new college understand things. Even some students who don't like obviously I teach the stats classes, if you've heard, and stuff, and students who didn't take the class will ask me if they can have my note sheets and my summaries, because they're having trouble in stats in college and they wish they'd taken it in high school. But we do get all of our teachers get very positive feedback as to how their students do once they matriculate to college. And we're not just talking about the super high end, the AP students. We're also talking about the students that took pre-cal and introduction to calculus and classes that were not AP level.
And to follow up on that, I have another question here. Someone is interested how our students typically do on the AP tests that are offered in math.
Okay, I'm probably in the best position to answer that. And so yeah, without a doubt, I can say that the AP Econ and AP BC score performances are the best in the school. The averages on those are usually about 4.7, 4.6 range, and sometimes even higher than that, which is quite strong performance by our students. AB also does quite well, and stats do quite well. And across the board, they perform well above national norms and do well enough that they can quite often, it depends on the school they go to, do quite often get college credit or advanced standing. That really helps them out when they're trying to piece together their schedules in their college years.
Thank you. And the next question, it looks like it's already been somewhat addressed by, I think Dave did a good job talking a little bit about that placement process, but maybe we could dig into that a little bit more about how we figure out placement for our new students coming into the school.
Sure, I'd be happy to talk about that. And so what we do for students that are new to the school, no matter whether they are coming in as freshmen, sophomore, junior, senior, I look at four things. I look at their transcripts. I look at their teacher recommendations. Obviously, you heard a little bit about the in-house placement tests that we give. And then in a normal year, we would also look at standardized test scores. Now, this is a different year, and I believe standardized test scores are being waived. Mr. Coons can address that after I'm done, but I'm pretty sure that standardized test scores are out. But the whole goal is to figure out what the student knows, not necessarily what they've been exposed to, but what they know, what they've actually learned, and how we can place them in a class that will allow them to fill in any gaps if they exist, but also continue to progress mathematically and to be more advanced. And since most of our new students are freshmen, we do the exact same parameters that I look at for incoming ninth graders to our school. I look at the eighth graders. I look at the exact same parameters. They take the same placement tests. I talk to their teachers for a teacher rack. They take a standardized test score ERBs in normal years and stuff. And so everyone is treated the same when they're coming into ninth grade. We try to, we evaluate everyone consistently, is what I'm trying to say. Ms. Coons, do you want to address, are we doing these standardized test scores?
Yeah, I'm happy to, so you are correct, Mr. Weiss, that we have waived the admission testing requirement this year, and I actually will be sending out more communication on that. If you're learning about that for the first time at this very moment, more information on that front will be shared with you later this week. One final question that we have here is for our students, for each one of you. Can you choose, and you can pretend that Mr. Weiss is not here, so we're choosing a moment with Mr. Weiss, but can you choose or pick your favorite math moment to date? Who wants to start?
I can start. Mine was definitely, you saw something already, was the graphing projects. And not particularly working on them because there were some stressful moments, but it was fun to see the final result. But at the end of it, we all come together as a class and present them to each other and go over it. And they're like, just people do some nutty stuff. Like they spend a lot of time on it. So it's cool to see that and to see what people come up with. And that was definitely a fun experience.
I think mine is probably, Dave, you can attest to this because you were in my math class in ninth grade. When we proved the Pythagorean theorem, I think it was like 3 different ways, and it was like on the whiteboard and then in a proof in a bunch of different ways. And I had always just kind of accepted like a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Like, okay, I know that. But then it was really cool to just like see it in person, like with a bunch of different squares and triangles to like really have it really stick in my brain.
Yeah, I can attest to that. Yeah, that was quite the mind-blowing discovery, to be honest, because I always used to accept a squared plus b squared equals c squared too, and I never used to think why. Sort of just absorb the knowledge. But adding on to my favorite math moment, I would say mine was a math project on Islamic art that we did freshman geometry year. Because I feel like, because right now I'm currently an admissions ambassador with Mr. Coons, under Mr. Coons' supervision, and I'm trying to get to know, like, trying to improve my communication skills while also improving my like knowledge on geometry. So I felt like the project really did that because we got to research in depth about all these, like how geometry is being used in the world and how all this art is being formed just by regular geometric shapes and how complicated one simple square can make a painting. And I also feel like after researching, we had to present this, and I feel like it improved my confidence, improved my speaking skills, because usually I used to get nervous in front of speaking with people, and I feel like that improved my connection with people because I could like look people in the eye and explain what's happening. And usually when I got Mr. Weiss's email, I'd have been scared about attending this panel. But now when I come back to this, I'm like, oh yeah, let me do this because it'll help me improve my communication skills with other people and help me improve my confidence. And so I feel like that's one thing that really helped me overall. So that's it.
Well, I think that you can, I think that you all can attest to the fact that your communication skills are quite superior, very impressive for high school students. What do we have? I think, Abby, I think you're our last one.
Yeah, mine was also the website project. And then, like I talked about earlier, I did mine on origami. It was just so fun to make. And it was really interesting because I mean, you don't normally get to learn about really cool, interesting topics like that in math. And also presenting it was fun, and then watching other people's presentations. Some of them were on really interesting topics like Morse code and then cryptography. So I just thought it was really fun.
Well, thank you to all of you on that. We did have one more question in the Q&A chat board, and that was regarding placement testing and what time period it occurs. And it actually, placement testing occurs after one enrolls. So that does not happen prior to or during the application process. We wait until we know who is enrolled, and then typically in early May is when we actually conduct the placement testing. We did that virtually this year, which was quite the experience, and hopefully, keeping our fingers crossed, we do not have to do that again this year. Any other questions at this time from any of our guests who have joined us this evening? Mr. Weiss, if you wouldn't mind advancing to the last slide.
Okay.
Okay, and so we really, again, we wanted to thank you all for attending this session tonight. Here is Mr. Weiss's email address if you have any questions. Also, if you would be interested in speaking with any of our student panelists this evening, we would be happy to share with you their email addresses, and I'm sure they'd be happy to chat with you more about some of the items that they covered tonight as well. But again, we are grateful for you in being here. We are happy to answer any follow-up questions that you have in the future. And remember next week, we'll be shifting our focus to our athletics office, and they'll be hosting their virtual information session. And we're looking forward to seeing you back virtually then. But thanks again for attending, and we hope you all enjoy the rest of your night. Take care.
Feel free to contact me if you have any questions about the math department. Thank you very much for attending. Bye-bye.